Welcome to People in Profit, the Superjumbo business show. I'm Stephen Carroll. Coming up, is it the end of the runway for the world's biggest passenger plane? We look at what scrapping the A380 would mean for Airbus. It's meant to be a gift for big business, so why does the US tax reform appear to be costing companies billions? And we've the story of a French village that clubbed together to save their local grocery shop. First up, though, a major disappointment for Airbus. The future of the A380 Superjumbo now looks in doubt, with the aviation giant saying it will stop making the plane unless it secures new orders imminently. Once billed as the future of flying, airlines seem to have lost interest. Erin Ogunki reports.
It's the world's largest passenger jet, but the Airbus A380's days may be numbered. The company warned it may have to suspend production of the Superjumbo jet if it doesn't secure new orders.
So quite honestly, if we can't work out a deal with Emirates, I think there is no choice but to shut down the program. But I'm hopeful that we'll work out a deal with Emirates and others can add airplanes on top of that.
Airbus suffered a major setback last November. Emirates Airlines was expected to order 36 A380s. But chose instead to invest $15.1 billion in Boeing, Airbus's biggest competitor. Demand has reached a standstill. With no new orders in 2017, the last order was over 2 years ago, when Japan's Air Nippon Airways bought just 3 jets. That came 3 years after Emirates ordered 50 aircraft in 2013. Since its inauguration in 2007, Airbus has sold just 317 A380s. Among the reasons for the sluggish sales, the cost, $437 million per plane. And some airports even had to build larger runways in order to accommodate the jumbo jet. On a state visit in early January, French President Emmanuel Macron said he hoped Chinese companies would include A380 orders in a partnership with Airbus. It may be the best bet for the jumbo jet's survival, as China is expected to become the world's biggest air travel market by 2022.
Well, to talk about this story further, I'm joined from the south of France by aviation analyst Bjorn Ferm from the industry website Liam News and Comment. Bjorn Ferm, Airbus says it hasn't given up on this plane yet, but do you think this is the end of the line for the A380?
No, I don't think so. I think what was said in this conference call last week was that if they don't get a sizable order, and the only customer which can give a sizable order is Emirates, then they have to consider that they don't have planes to produce sometimes in the 2020s.
Is an order like that really likely? Do you think Emirates is going to come up and say that, yes, after all, they do want more of these A380s?
Yes, I do think so. I was actually in Hamburg when Emirates took their 100th A380, and the Sheikh was there as well from the Emirates and from Abu Dhabi. And he actually said that he would like to place an order at the next show that was down in Abu Dhabi. But there was something that happened there. They couldn't quite agree. And right now, I think with Airbus saying publicly that if they don't place this order of, which was rumored to be 35 aircraft, there would be a problem. I think they are right now playing a little bit of a hardball game because there are conditions from both sides for this order. And that's what we are watching, more than Emirates not wanting to place an order.
What does this mean for the Superjumbo end of the market in general? It hasn't been a very popular aircraft, at least in recent years. Is it a shift in the industry, or is it that the A380 just wasn't catering to airlines' needs?
It's a bit of both. The A380 is a large aircraft. It's actually too large for the present market. If you look at the aircraft industry, which we, of course, observe very carefully, you can buy aircrafts from 70 seats all the way up to 400 seats in increments of 30 seats, and you always get an optimal aircraft. But from 400 seats, it's up to 600 seats to get to the A380, and there is nothing in between. Boeing had an aircraft, the 747-8, the new variant of that aircraft, which was about 430 seats. But then there is a jump of 170 seats until you come to the Airbus 380. So the Airbus 380 is simply too large for the present way that airlines want to fly. And what they're playing at now is to get it to survive until the market catches up, which it will do. the traveling market is doubling every 15 years. So what they're playing now is for time.
Is it going to be damaging to Airbus in that medium term, though, to maintain this production line if the orders aren't going to be as large as for its smaller aircraft?
No, not really. I mean, it's a marginal product for Airbus. Airbus turns over each year 50 billion euro or $60 billion of airliners. And this is about 3 billion euro or $4 billion. So it's a small program for them. Whether they produce it or not is really not material for Airbus. It doesn't also mean anything for the profits because the aircraft is at maximum ±0 at the present production rate. It's more a matter of prestige and a missed opportunity. If the market catches on in 10 years or 15 years, it would be rather embarrassing that they actually stopped the aircraft too early.
Has Boeing taken a better approach when it comes to this end of the market, these larger planes?
I think so. Boeing had an aircraft which was this 430-seater, the 747 in its new version. And they realized that this market is very small. So they made an upgrade, a modification of that to make it acceptably efficient for the market, which we have right now. But the market, as I said, hasn't developed exactly as predicted by neither Boeing or Airbus. Actually, Boeing was more correct in assuming that people actually want to go more often. So let's say you have actually a need for 600 passengers from an airport, like a big airport like Heathrow or JFK or something like that. What they like to do is actually to divide that in two and fly 2 departures with 300 instead of 1 with 600, because I might not want to go at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. I might want to go at 10 or 11. And the problem with the 380 is that you have to gather people for 1 departure, whereas people want to have choice. They want to have 2 departures with slightly smaller aircraft.
OK, well, we shall have to wait and see what the future holds for the A380. Bjorn Farm from Liam News and Comment, thank you very much for speaking to us. Now, it's earnings season in the business world, with companies reporting their results for the end of 2017 and looking forward to the year ahead. But this year, there is one subject that keeps coming up in financial reports for American companies. That's the tax reform bill, signed into law by President Donald Trump in December. Among the headline measures is a reduction in the corporate tax rate, which he says will help reinvigorate the US economy. But many firms are also announcing losses as a result of the plan. Kate Moody's been finding out why. Kate.
Well, Stephen, most of corporate America sees the tax overhaul as good for the long term, with a few inconvenient road bumps along the way. Firms that bring overseas earnings back to home turf will have to pay a one-off levy of 15.5% for cash and 8% for other earnings. That's a big payout, but it's far from the 35% they would have been taxed in the past. Tech companies and banks will likely see the highest bills. They also have to revalue deferred tax assets. That was when past losses could be set against future taxes, essentially a credit. Many banks built them up in the wake of the financial crisis. The changes mean that those bills have to be paid now. Citigroup, for example, has made one of the biggest write-downs in corporate history with a $22 billion hit. JP Chase reported nearly $2.5 billion in charges. But the short-term pain will lead to long-term gain, as the corporate tax rate is slashed from 35% to 21%. Analysts at Goldman Sachs say the financial industry alone could see its earnings rise by 13% this year, thanks to those new guidelines. Predictions for S&P 500 companies range up to 14% additional gains for this year. Now, some of those benefits will trickle down to workers. American Airlines, AT&T, and Bank of America are among the firms whose employees will receive a bonus thanks to tax reform. Fiat Chrysler also included investment in a new plant, while Boeing said that it would put money into infrastructure, workforce development, and charitable donations. The world's biggest retailer, Walmart, announced a one-time bonus and raised its minimum wage for hourly workers. That's all welcome good press for the Trump White House, which has sold the tax overhaul as good for companies and individuals alike, as well as the economy as a whole. Stephen?
Kate, thank you very much for that. Now, a dilemma being faced by rural communities in many parts of the world: how to keep local services and businesses open. Faced with the closure of their local grocery shop, residents of one village in France's Loire Valley took matters into their own hands. With a little money and a few hours per month, they've created a successful business that's now helping to boost local food producers. Sanam Chantier has the story.
The village of Savignières has lost many businesses over the recent years, but one in particular is bustling with activity. That's thanks to the 2,300-strong community.
We don't see that many people. I live in the countryside. If I don't come here, I don't see anyone.
I live nearby. I come down here to grab lunch with the kids. If I've forgotten something, that's it. It's practical.
The establishment was shut down some 10 years ago. Within 12 months, 300 local residents have taken it over and set up a cooperative food store, each contributing €50 from their own pockets.
I live in a neighbouring village. I come here to do my shopping, as I find the products are good quality. Also, I feel like I'm doing my part, contributing a little.
And it's not just the financial contribution that keeps the supermarket afloat. Some 20 local volunteers help run the place.
I'll stay on for as long as I enjoy the dynamic here.
Here, a variety of products are found on the shelves. Locally sourced organic stock placed alongside well-known brands. Today, the cooperative supermarket is raking in some €200,000 a year. This model also benefits local farmers who are involved in environmentally responsible practices.
We were delivering to the supermarket from the very beginning. We thought to ourselves, what better to sell than the local wine, Savignières?
While cooperatives are not new to France, today similar models are springing up across the country. The number has increased by 2% over the past year.
Well, that's it from us for now. Next week, Kate and I will be in Davos for the World Economic Forum, and we'll have a special show from there. But in the meantime, you can get in touch with us on Facebook at France 24 Business, or you can tweet me at NewStephen. Until next time, thanks for watching.